I'm just so glad to be here.
Okay. Well, I feel like everyone can ground however feels good. And also, if it feels good, we could close our eyes and imagine those sexy little roots that come from the root chakra from the base of our spine, growing down into the earth, growing through the crust of the earth into the deeper soil. And I think for all of us, the soil right now is pretty chilly, and the deeper the roots grow, the warmer it gets, and maybe the wigglier the roots get to be because they're growing deeper to the lovely molten core of the earth. And knowing plants and people as I do, our roots that we just sent down can send out little secondary roots, allowing us to anchor and ground even more deeply, even more solidly, and knowing that this grounding practice is for each of us. Feeling grounded is an act of anchoring ourselves to who we are, who we know ourselves to be as strong, capable women who, even in the midst of chaos, can find who we are, find our center, and feel calm and rooted and good in who we get to be and the pleasures that we get to create. And even when we can feel the chaos out to our left or out to our right surrounding us, we can know who we are inside of it. Almost as if we're an eye of a hurricane, except that we are only just ourselves. And it feels good to know that we are strong when we engage with the hurricane or the chaos, even when we are invited to feel small. We can come here to our home, to ourselves, and feel absolutely us. Wow, I'm relaxed as fuck now. Find our little eyeballs back open. Yay. Okay.
Thank you. That was lovely.
You are so welcome. Maybe we should keep that part in so that anyone who wants to ground at the beginning.
My energy, energy's a flowing.
It's 11:11 here. 11:11 and 33 degrees.
So delicious.
Oh, you've got the yawns.
I do. I'm telling you, it's the energy. The energy is a flowing. It's moving.
Beautiful. Is there anything that needs discussing before we dive right into introducing Kirsten?
Goodness. I don't think so, right? I mean,
okay.
I guess so I mean, I'm totally down to just flow. Do we have to just kind of go wherever? Because I'm down for that. I love to
Yeah, I think we tend to have very conversational interviews. So I've got generalized questions like, what excites you about finding pleasure in nutrition? And so I've got like questions in mind, but oftentimes I don't end up asking all of them because our conversations are just so good.
Totally.
Does that sound okay?
And I usually take us off on tangents.
Great. Find the unexplored territory, huh?
That's right.
Yes. That's how spelunking goes, right? Like when you're cave diving, you like see a little something off to the side and you're like, what the fuck is in there? Let's go find it.
Sparkly over there.
And then cave of gemstones. So
exactly. Yes. Yep. Absolute cavern of geode like magic.
For Sure.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think we're good. The only other question is like, do you need any help with like introducing me or like
Oh
anything?
no, we've got a whole little
yeah.
introduction ready
We're
to
ready.
go.
We're
Oh,
ready.
good. Okay, you are
We
so
got
ready.
you.
We
We got
do.
you, Kirsten.
Well, thank you. Goodness, I feel pampered.
Oh,
Oh, well, good. It is our absolute pleasure to pamper you as our guest.
Oh, thank you. I receive.
yay.
Well, then, for those of you beautiful listeners and watchers who have tuned in, what are you pointing at?
Maybe we should move the mouse. Does the mouse show up on the screen?
No,
Okay,
she does not.
great. Love that.
I don't think so, but now you got me a little freaked out.
Okay, just checking.
Okay, beautiful. I don't think that's a thing, but
Okay.
it was kind of like just honk grabbing our microphone,
Yep.
and it was a little weird.
You know, that's how I prefer to start out all of my podcast listening or interview experiences. Like with a good microphone honk first.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like a solid awooga.
Yeah. Yes.
And that gets to be the tone for the rest of the podcast. Hooray! Okay, beautiful humans. Thank you so much for tuning in with us today. If you don't know yet, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Ashley. Welcome to Your Soul. Welcome.
A podcast of healing out loud for humans spelunking through their deepest hearts.
Yeah.
And right before we cue the intro music, we have on with us the just fucking radiant Kirsten Koel. Oh, biscuits. I was going to ask, is Koel correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, beautiful. Yay, great. Okay. Kirsten Koel is a pleasure-based nutrition and weight loss coach and is the creator and curator for her free Facebook group called The Banquet Table, which Ashley and I are totally a part of because we are absolutely Kirsten's fangirls over here. Kirsten is such an open-hearted human and is a radiant adventurous dancing through life. She is also an embodiment practitioner, inviting you to step further into your own radiance too. And we are so delighted to have her on the podcast with you guys, with us here together today. So thank you so much for being with us, Kirsten.
Oh, thank you for having me. And thank you for that dose of energy. I'm just feeling like more in my body and just delicious. Thank you for that.
I mean, delicious, I feel like is going to be one of the words for the day. So cue the intro music and we will get this party started. And then the intro music will play. Hooray!
Huzzah!
Oh, good. Ooh, that was yummy.
Yay! I'm so glad.
Yay!
Well, beautiful. I was just gonna say magically deliciously excited, but then I felt like a little Keebler elf.
Like
magically delicious.
Like the Lucky Charms.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
That is Lucky Charms. I was thinking Keebler elves.
I want to go to like an embodiment circle one time and we're like, what archetypes are you working with today? And someone's like, the Keebler elf.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
That's
the Keebler elf.
Keebler
That's I did not think of them as an archetype, but you know what? I'm here for that.
Right?
I receive that opening of my
Yes.
perspective.
I feel like I play in that territory quite a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I do.
Honestly, yeah, you give Keebler elf.
I do.
That's fair.
Meaning you make magical snacks in a tree in the woods.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do.
Yeah, I mean, you made amazing Oreo balls for Big Ass Tiny Christmas.
I did. Yeah, I did. That's true.
Big ass tiny Christmas.
Her-
Big ass tiny Christmas.
Her kids named our Christmas celebration Big Ass Tiny Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, that is adorable. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Keebler elf energy, it fits. There's a place for it.
Absolutely. Well, now I'm curious, what energy do you feel like you're coming to play with us in today, Kirsten?
Ooh, I love this question. Let me tune in. I feel like I've got some like maybe like seizing my power vibe. So like a little bit of dark goddess energy, you know?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, a little bit of that, like going into the dark, fearless, and like coming out with the prizes.
That's beautiful. I
Yeah,
love that for you.
Yes.
Thank you. What about you?
I am coming in as kind of like the world energy, like from tarot. I pulled that card twice last night, and in my mind, it's really just like me. I'm gonna encircle you.
Yeah.
Learning to like hold all of the things. And after meditating before this and then doing that beautiful grounding practice that we did to enter into this, I really truly feel like I can both hold all the things and be open to receive.
Yes.
And I think previously in my life, I was not able to do both of those things at one time. And I feel like I have opened up a new avenue or energy of being able to do that. And that feels really juicy. So that's where I'm coming from today. What about you, Ash?
Yes. I mean, besides Keebler Elf, which is
well, yes,
just
that's your perennial
yeah,
energy.
We're multifaceted. We have room to hold it all.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you for the reminder. Feel like I am a little bit just like I feel empowered. Goddess vibe, but with a little bit of like fairy trickster, just for
yeah, why not?
Just for the fun of it, because I don't know, because that's just always there. Like that's just always there.
Yeah.
Empowered goddess crossed with fairy trickster.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
I love how just hearing you two like claim your archetype that you're bringing today, I felt more of that energy from you.
Oh wow.
Oh yay. Great. Well, there is power in verbalizing where you are in your current space and where you've been trying to get to. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of like either journaling through writing or journaling out loud in a voice note, or even just talking to a friend about what is going on deeply with you. Not maybe just what's going on at work, but like what's percolating in your soul.
Yeah, I felt when you claimed the world archetype and like when you had your arms spread out, I just felt you step into that like holding energy, Kayla. It was really
beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you.
It's really interesting. Like when you when you started to like say, okay, I'm a goddess, but this, like there's this energy to it. There's this like trickster part of it. Like I felt this like, I don't know, locked in piece from you that's like, I won't tolerate it all. Like we were in control here. You know, it was very It was very like pulling the strings or so it was nice.
That's
like
beautiful.
I love that.
I felt the texture.
Oh, I love that.
Well, thank you for reflecting that for us, Kirsten. I mean, I should have added that into the intro that Kirsten is a master at reflecting the truth that she sees in you, because that has been true every time I've talked to you thus far. And even in your posts that happen inside your free Facebook group, the banquet table, it's always inviting self-reflection. So even in inviting that, you are holding a mirror for other people, and that feels really beautiful.
It so is.
I would love to know how that idea of helping people to see themselves plays a role in your pleasure-based nutrition and pleasure-based weight loss.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. And it's interesting as you say this, I'm getting a picture of like a mirror in my mind, like a big, beautiful, like decorated mirror.
Yes. Giving
Um,
enchanted vibes.
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm realizing that's like particularly impactful with the work that I do around nutrition, around weight loss, around helping people have like a delicious relationship with exercise and their bodies. Because, like as women, the mirror can be so charged, right? Like
Mhm.
it can be this thing that is highly activating, and it can be we can really struggle with our relationship to seeing ourselves for
Mhm.
our throughout our whole lives. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm realizing that maybe like right now in this moment that's particularly impactful for me or important. I prioritize it because like reflecting back the beauty that we see in other women, the wisdom, the gifts, the like delicious layers of embodiment and uniqueness is, I think, something that we cannot do enough. We literally can't.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's so powerful to be seen deeply. And I feel like whenever that happens, we just create this like energy of it landing a little bit deeper. There's an opportunity in reflection to step further into ownership and integrity and like letting those things seep deeply into your being. And
Yeah.
so I think I just really value it because it's powerful, right? And like how often
Absolutely.
we get that in our day-to-day life and we might be longing for it, but it's like this
Oh,
secret, right?
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
It's
Like, of
that like
course.
it's that true deep validation piece almost that a lot of people don't get or don't realize that they're not
Mm-hmm.
getting or something like that.
Well, and
Yeah.
in my mind, each time you reflect the beauty that you see in other people for them to see, it's an invitation for them to start seeing it in themselves.
Mhm.
And as a self-love mentor, like that's the juice. That's
Mhm.
the I don't know, the honey pot of being
Mm.
able
Yeah.
to be in conversation with other people and be in relationship with them. Because if I can issue invitation after invitation, like they don't have to RSVP yes until
Mhm.
they're ready to, but the invitation is there, and soon you've got like this whole stack of invitations, and you're like, maybe I should say yes this next time, and that feels kind of exciting.
Yeah. And can I say too that the way that you reflect back and the way that you say the things that you say, it feels so like it is so authentic and so like straight to like
Mm.
my soul that like a lot of times when people like will give you compliments or people will say something to you, you'll be like, "Oh, thanks." You know what I mean? But the way
Mhm.
that you say it it like
It
it
makes it easy to receive.
it makes it easy to receive and I believe it.
Mm.
And I see it in myself too, the way that you say it.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, "Oh yeah. I do," or "That's me," or and so I really appreciate that from you because like it's so rare to have that kind of moment
Mm.
to be able to then see that also in oneself too.
Mm.
So I appreciate that.
Mm. Yeah, I was just talking about this the other day with someone in my life, like the power of choosing and stepping into and like really, really receiving compliments when
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
they come our way. And often, I think, throughout my life, I received a lot of compliments that felt maybe like I wanted others, or they weren't really seeing me
Mhm.
deeply, or there was just this like wall up that kept me from receiving them fully.
Mm-hmm.
And so, without needing to like make that bad or wrong, right? Like it's okay and it served a purpose.
Yeah.
I so delight in both like seeing women and teaching women how to let the compliment all the way in to the
Yeah.
point where it does start to like intermingle with your identity, intermingle with the
Mm-hmm.
cells of your body, like you drink it in a way where you really, really can receive it. And so Ashley, I love that you're like walking us through the layers of what happens when you're truly open to receiving
Mm-hmm.
a reflection. Like
Yeah.
I heard how it migrates in, like you hear it, you see it, you take it in, and then you step into it even
Right.
more.
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
love as well that choice point, right? Like the choice
Mhm.
point where we don't have to receive it so deeply that we step
Right.
into more.
Right.
There's the invitation, right? And so if
Yeah.
someone's reflection of us like hits and reverberates through like the depth of our
Mhm.
being,
Mm-hmm.
can we in the moment like allow that to like sink deeper into our own body?
Yes.
Can we step
Yes.
in more?
Yes.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
maybe each compliment that you receive is like a drizzle of honey. Like
Mhm.
that stickiness can't help but get everywhere. So
Yeah. Oh,
maybe that's a good visual metaphor
Yes, I love
if
that.
those of you watching
and
or
that.
listening desire to let compliments soak in deeper.
Ooh, that gave me goosebumps.
Oh, good. Well, just imagine receiving that like honey, and it just is gonna stick, and it's gonna be so
Oh,
sweet.
Mhm.
And ooh, who doesn't love drizzling honey?
Yeah.
and also like the beauty of someone receiving that so deeply, the
Mhm.
beauty of you like saying, hey, I see this about you, this is how I experience you, this is something I want to draw your attention to. And then the energy of someone like taking this like pot of delicious
Yeah.
honey
Yes.
and saying yes to that and just like
Mhm.
spreading that all, like what a delight to watch.
Yes.
What a
Mm-hmm.
delight to gift that person,
Yes.
Mhm.
right? Like
Like
that's
honestly, it's kind of hot.
It is so
yeah.
hot.
It's real sexy.
That's why I love hyping people up so much.
Ooh, that
For
makes sense for
sure.
you.
I
Yeah.
I mean, not I mean, yes, yes, yes,
It's because
yes.
you like honey all over your body.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just part of the reason.
Oh, it's so beautiful though. I mean, this is really about like the art of receiving, right? And how to
Mhm.
turn your own stepping into something, your own like claiming of something that's beautiful about yourself into a gift for you, into a gift to the person who gave that to you, and
Yes.
Mhm.
other women who get to like watch you step fully into that.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Because
Yes.
maybe when they see Kirsten and Kayla and Ashley all sitting here like drizzling ourselves in honey and like
Yes.
drizzling each other in honey, they're like, oh, maybe the honey's for me too.
Yes.
It fucking is. If you are watching or listening, it is for you. The honey is for you, honey.
Absolutely. I think too, there's this phenomenon I'm really fascinated with, like as it relates to my work. We think we have to earn the honey. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Oh God, yes.
yes.
Yeah, like we think we have to do everything perfectly. We think we have
That just
to,
Oh,
like hit me like
yes.
straight in the
yeah,
heart.
yeah, do
Ah!
all the things when really like it is yours every single moment of every day. And I think that like commitment to not cutting ourselves off from the juice and the pleasure and the deliciousness,
Yes.
even when things are a little imperfect or chaotic or we're like not feeling in line with that like energy, like that's how we create magic, right?
Yes.
Yes. Good extrapolation to the chaos that we said that we were feeling before
Oh
this call.
my goodness.
Absolutely.
Ah,
We get to experience the chaos and the honey.
yes.
Mhm.
Mm.
Now that's what I was saying this morning too, because I feel like life and the universe, like there has just been so many chaotic things
Yes.
happening. And it's
Mhm.
been bam, 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 bam,
Just
bam,
thing
bam,
after
bam.
thing.
And they're big. And
Yeah.
I am handling it, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm handling it.
Mhm.
Is it a lot? Am I exhausted? Yep, but I'm handling it. And also, there are so many amazing things happening at the same time. And I am remembering to allow myself to fully enjoy the amazing things. I am not sitting around and waiting for the next shoe to drop. I am no longer subscribing to there's too much chaos for me to enjoy the things that are good.
Yes.
I am fully enjoying the things that are good because they're so good.
And I think the beauty of it is that all you have to do is decide that you get to.
Yes.
That's where I've been the last few days, is inviting myself again and again and again and again to decide that I get to hold it all, that I get to be that world archetype who holds the chaos and the beauty, the honey and the, oh shit, did that just happen? Well, fuck. Like
331133.
Yes. So my TV shows the temperature and the time. So it's 33 degrees at 11:33. So it's palindrome.
Yeah, holding it all. And I feel like for me, this is where I get into that, like the feminine archetypes, right? Like the goddess archetypes, like, you know, the story, the lore, the mythology, in her head, like it's epic and it's intense, and it is like these stories of these women, these goddesses, like holding it all, right? So, you know, bringing it back to your like world, your beautiful world image archetype, like when we step into doing new things that are uncomfortable, when we step into stretching ourselves and like powerfully building the lives that we want, sometimes things go a little wonky and wobbly at first.
Oh boy.
Yeah, do they?
Yeah. And so instead of like falling into the trap and the like sabotage of making it mean all kinds of things about us or what we get to have or experience in this lifetime, like turning towards the honey, the sweetness, and seeing both at the same time can be such a powerful way to both like ground in your body and feel safe, but then also not cut yourself off from the sweetness just because all those things going on. Like to me, that's how you become invincible, right? Like walking through the world and not like closing off, not shutting down, not shrinking in because things are a little wobbly and wonky and crazy, who's like open and like connected to pleasure at the same time. And it's like you were saying, holding it all, like there's space for all of it. And I don't need to only be in the pleasure realm because that means I'm not really pushing myself or growing or doing anything impactful or yeah, growing as a human, right? And not staying over here, which would be incredibly discouraging. And
don't I know it?
yeah, to just like live your whole life over here. But I think life is really about like a balance between the two. You know, how do we keep growing? How do we keep pushing and like become the woman who can hold it all, who has space, who isn't dimming down and isn't like closing off from life and shutting down her heart or like putting a bunch of walls up just because the hard stuff gets hard sometimes.
Yes. Well, and I feel like, Kirsten, you are such a master at, or goddess, priestess, like a person who has achieved consistent embodiment in living life and keeping yourself turned on. Like where I know that I am currently learning how to do that. Like you, Kirsten, I feel like you do that so well, and that's why I so enjoy speaking with you and being in your group, the banquet table, and just receiving your wisdom in that regard. Because for me, it is certainly right now a process of choosing to practice the skill that I'm learning. It's like oh, I don't know, if you're learning to play an instrument, it's a choice to take out your instrument and practice it. And so right now it is very much a conscious, like, I am making this decision. And I know that they will eventually turn unconscious.
Yes.
That's the way that habits work. And I just so enjoy being in your energy where, like, yeah, you've made this a habit. You've made this a practice in your life. And I don't want to call you perfect because none of us are. And also, like, I don't know, I feel like for many things you have it on autopilot, and I am so grateful to learn from you on how I can put it on autopilot also.
Well, thank you for that reflection. It was so lovely to receive.
You're so welcome.
Two things about that. The first thing, I love this metaphor that you just dropped in about like learning to like play the instrument of your body, right? Like the two together, like, oh,
Ooh,
so,
yeah. Yes.
so beautiful. So I was just really like enchanted by that metaphor that you dropped in. And the second thing I want to say is like, yeah, it takes courage and bravery and grit to live a life of pleasure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
People kind of assume that it's this easy thing, like that it's maybe shallow even, right? That it's not like a path of
I can see how people would think that.
I could see that.
Yeah, and it really like it takes a lot to continue to turn towards pleasure as your capacity grows to handle and hold more things. And for me, like I want more for myself than a life where my pleasure is compartmentalized and stuffed into specific areas of my life only. Like, I don't want to just experience pleasure, in the bedroom. And so I think that's why, honestly, like, that's what most of my career is built on. It's just like bringing pleasure into things into my life that did not feel pleasurable. So, yeah, I mean, back when I struggled with food, back when I struggled with exercise, back when I struggled with my own weight, like these are all things that did not feel pleasurable at all to me. It felt like a living hell instead of something that brought me joy. And so, learning how to bring pleasure and love and ease into my relationship with food and letting that guide me, letting pleasure come into my relationship with exercise and figuring out how to make that like just as juicy and delicious as the most pleasurable parts of my life, right? Like that was a deep, deep journey. And I want more for myself than a life where pleasure happens, in solo practice or in the bedroom or things like that. Like, I want that everywhere. And it takes a devotion and a commitment and a like deepening of that practice to choose and come back to pleasure again and again and again. And then like figure out or have guidance and like, okay, what does it look like to bring pleasure, in my work, to bring pleasure into nutrition? Like, what would a real pleasurable relationship with my food look like? And how can I be so in my body and like have the tools to be connected to that guidance, have the tools to sink deeply into pleasure and not shut it off, have the tools to be present with that pleasure so that it can like grow and magnify.
Fuck
And then
yes.
yeah. Same with exercise, right? Like instead of something on my to-do list, a chore, something that I should do for my health or whatever, like how can I make that the second most pleasurable part of my day, right? So how can I bring in like these tools from, sacred sexuality and tantric practice into the exercise space so that it becomes like a celebration of my being, a celebration of my body, a celebration of like my vibrance and my vitality and my embodiment as a woman. Like that's a different game, right?
It is. So, okay. So then tell us how to do that. Like that idea sounds amazing. And I think I know. I think I have suspicions on how I could do that, but like I would love a little help.
Absolutely. Can I chime in first before we get to the how to? just because when you were saying that, it reminded me last year, like in the spring or early summer, I did a tarot reading for myself. And on one of the last cards, there was a line, like there was just a line that came and that stuck with me. And it was, experience the pleasure of doing something well. And I wrote it down at the top of every week of my planner for like 2 months. And I just kept reminding myself of that. And it really, like, even when we had, because I had talked to you about it, because like it was so, like we had many conversations about just that, that one line. And it wasn't so much like experience the pleasure of doing something well. It was just like taking the time to
allow yourself.
Yes. To care for yourself in a way that like brings you pleasure. And like it was such an impactful line. And it just, in hearing you talk about pleasure and like your commitment to bringing that back into all of the facets of your life, it just really brought me back to that line and how impactful that line was to me. I think it was because the draw of having more pleasure in your life is so great. I don't know.
I think it's beautiful.
If you ask, somebody, do you want more, would you like more pleasure in your life? I mean,
like who's not going to say yes to that?
I'm good. Like less for me, please.
They're going to be like, yeah, what are you talking about? Like, how do I do that?
How? So,
and before we again dive into the how, I'd love to mention that when you were talking, Kirsten, it reflected to me that I have been inviting pleasure into areas of my life. Like this past year, I deeply taught myself how to find pleasure in peace, because peace was something that I had previously been denying myself. And so I don't know, it let me know that, hey, I just said that I was really bad at bringing pleasure into things, but also, no, I'm not. I've been doing it in other areas. Well, and I've been doing it in my self-pleasure practice, right? Like we mentioned spiritual self-loving Pound Town on this podcast semi-often.
Yes, we do.
So I have been inviting pleasure in, and I do feel measures of mastery in creating and curating pleasure for myself in other areas. And I will admit that I am currently trudging the path to finding pleasure in food and body movements. Well, yes, specifically cooking. I don't mind finding pleasure in food that other people have made me. Happily could find that. I would love a nourishing meal cooked by another person. And I know that there is some accountability that I need to take in my marriage with being in the kitchen. There's some, like, I need to be more present there. Like my husband has lovingly reflected that to me, that he would like that. And I would like to be the wife that I know that I want to be. I want to be the relationship partner that I know that I want to be. And that involves finding joy in cooking and being present in the kitchen.
It's also probably very difficult because Carrie is a bomb ass cook. Like he makes such good.
He makes it really easy for me to enable myself to not.
Such a good cook.
And he also does a great job of reminding me of what I have made a priority.
Yes.
So these are absolutely my priorities, which I'm so excited to have you here, Kirsten, to tell us the how. How do we do it? How do we do it?
Absolutely. I'm gonna take a step back for a second because I have things that I want to reflect on.
For sure.
Good. I'm like,
Yes.
So Ashley, I ran across a quote the other day. I think it was by Khalil Gibran, and it
Mhm.
was, "Work is love made visible."
Oh,
And
yeah.
that, so your reflection around that really, like, it just inspired, it echoed that quote in my mind. And like, regardless of what that work is, like, how can we become a conduit of loving energy
Mhm.
for ourselves, because we want to live in that space, right?
Yes.
Like, I want to be a
Mhm.
conduit to love at all times.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
please.
Yeah, yeah. And also in our actions, and I think that that's how it starts to people be able to feel us deeply in whatever we do, whatever it is. Cooking for somebody, recording a podcast,
Yeah.
running a business, setting up an amazing workspace, things like that, like whatever you're doing, that's how it becomes like an expression of deepest love for yourself and those around you. And then the other thing I want to say quickly is about, Kayla, like the beauty of you finding pleasure in your relationship with peace, because the power of that is now you have a template, right? You know what comes up for you in resisting pleasure. You know what the sticking points are,
Fine.
Yes.
right? Like, you know where you get trapped in this path towards bringing pleasure into anything, or at
Yeah, my
least,
template is just doing it. And that always
uh,
feels so hard
Yep.
when
yeah.
when part of me is in resistance to just doing it.
Dang it, Nike. Nike got it right again.
Fuck.
It's so beautiful though, because now that you have these ideas or these like access points, these cues for yourself, like you have this template that you can layer onto other aspects of your life. Like, awesome.
Mhm.
I found pleasure in my relationship to peace. What am I overlaying this on next? And it gives you some places to start and things to work with. And yeah, like I bringing pleasure into like different pockets of life, right? I decided, it was about a year and a half ago that I bought my house that I'm in right now. And that journey was, I remember at the beginning, I was just like, this is such a gift. Like, I'm going to enjoy every second. I'm going to make this
Oh,
pleasurable. I'm going to like get the gift that it is out of it. And it was like a year and a half of making offers. Like, I don't even know how
oh
many
yeah.
the end. It was so it was like life being like, uh-huh, and here and here. Like, you still gonna choose, you still gonna choose. And making
Relatable.
Yep.
totally. It was like brutal. And then at the end of it, like, I ended up in exactly the place that I was supposed to. Like, energetically, everything, like it was exactly right. And like a week after, there was just this like ridiculous spike in like everything, and it would have just totally knocked me out. And so it
Mhm.
just like all along, there was this like choice to choose pleasure over and over again, to
Mhm.
use the different areas in my life that I've learned how to turn towards pleasure and apply it to a situation that felt really like, ah! And the power of that, all along the journey, I just kept getting reflected back. Like, I've never met somebody who's so like relaxed and like such a joy and delight to work with all along the way after so many times. And so, like, people are willing to do things, people are willing to help you out, like, people are willing to like help and serve this energy that they feel you choosing, because it is so powerful, and they kind of want to learn, like, what does this look like to choose pleasure and stick to it and like build this mastery and this ability there, right? Because that's a fascinating person to be around. And
Yeah.
Yes.
And
right, and your journey becomes deeply of service to them, right?
mhm.
So anyway, to kind of like full circle back to, how do we start
Yeah.
building pleasure into, like, for example, relationship with exercise or food? I think the first place to start out is always like cleansing of everything that's not working. So like, really, what is it about my relationship to like exercise right now, that isn't working for me, is always what I have people start off with. So it's like, where does this feel hard, where does this feel crunchy, where does this feel awful, and like, how can I accept myself where I am right now and let go of that? And oftentimes, like, especially for women, um with so many years of like being intensely steeped in diet culture, a lot of times we're like moving our bodies from a place of punishment, a place
Yes.
of like, like hatred almost, just as a result of like being stewed and steeped in this stuff for a long time.
Yep.
And so I think the first step is always like detaching from that, recognizing that like that's not the truth of your being, of your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see you crossing your arms
No,
over
I'm
there.
I feel
Oh,
like
you're
I'm
holding
being
yourself. Okay.
Ah,
now, like
30
Truly.
seconds
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and we did an episode in the past on how to like love your body and on body image. So if you guys who are listening and watching want to circle back to that, to either re-listen or listen for the first time if you're a new listener, well, if you are a new listener, hi and welcome. Hi. So I think that like that external pressure from society and how we have been taught can feel really restrictive. And I love that your first step in the how-to is to like fucking clear out the shit that's not working. Because for me right now in moving my body, I've felt really frustrated lately that I have been feeling anger at some of the chaos that has arisen in my life. And I'm experiencing some like tendonitis or like precarpal tunnel symptoms in my arms, which means that I can't use my punching bag because like I can't get it out because that's just going to stress out my muscles. And so when you said that the first step is to clear out what's not working right now, I'm like, well, punching isn't working right now, so stop inviting myself and then feeling bad that I can't do it. But I can also kick my punching bag, right? Like I got strong legs. I can invite myself into expanding my view of how something gets to be done. So thank you for that like step one, because that automatically like opened up a channel of new creative thought for me on how I can get my anger out of my body, because that's incredibly important for me as a manifester. Anger is my not self. And so that might not be my natural inclination, but gosh darn it, I can kick that energy out of my body.
You can also kick. There's so much snow here right now. You can kick and you can go throw snow because it's light and fluffy.
That sounds cold.
We like snow now. You've got great. Oh, you can borrow my great mittens.
I bought new mittens.
Yay!
My dog ate my mittens that my friend gave me. She was so sweet. She gave us matching mittens and it was so cute. And then I went out to scoop the sidewalk and I didn't want to stick them back in my pockets because they were wet. And so I set them on the table for like 95 seconds. Literally not longer than that. Well, anyway, it's fine.
They were tasty.
Well, he didn't eat them. He just chewed them apart.
Yeah, I love your openness, like, the way that you receive ideas and then instantly like have that light bulb, like I can use that over here. It's really beautiful. And I think that like in the service of clearing everything out, like we can't build a foundation of pleasure on a bunch of stuff that's kind of not ours. And I love that you're
you gotta have demo day. You gotta like get the demo list and clear out what the fuck isn't working. Take down that wall.
A little tower moment.
Oh yeah, baby tower moment. Love that.
And like to circle it back to, you're saying you did this beautiful episode on self-love in the body, which I love. Are these things that we learned and picked up from society, is that like the holy truth of our body? Is that like the sacred truth of our being?
It fucking is not.
Right. So like
that is crap.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I think pleasure is a beautiful pathway to more confidence too, because there's just this, the more you get in touch with your own pleasure, the body starts giving you these beautiful gifts, like these little things that you didn't know you could do, these little like pleasures that you didn't know that your body could like, go that way. And
the
so
little things that make you go like, like that happened.
Exactly. And so like soaking that in and really receiving it is just a natural path to like appreciation and landing in our bodies even deeper, like feeling safe to really have our presence fully land in our body, like our home, right?
Mhm.
And so I love pleasure as a pathway for more self-confidence too, because there's this beauty to how it happens very organically and very
Oh yeah.
effortlessly, where it's not quite as daunting as like, okay, great. Now I have to deconstruct, 30 years of diet culture. Like
Right.
I don't know if I'm up for that task. You know, Pleasure as a pathway is just, it like gently kind of blooms and starts expanding, and there's more.
Like those flowers that grow in sidewalks.
Yes.
Like you just
Flowers.
find your way to blooming.
Yeah, yeah. So like with pleasure, it's a little bit more, I think like gentle, right? Like I think if we
Mhm.
were to try to deconstruct everything, it would be that like, oh, I'm gonna grow no matter what. And
Yes.
I think why this path is so powerful is because your body just like surprises you and gifts you with things, and that relationships gets better, and then it just becomes like easier and
Yes, it
so
does. It
Okay.
so does.
So let's expand that metaphor of a plant growing in a sidewalk crack, because you know what happens when you just focus on your own blooming? You eventually like demo the sidewalk. Like your roots get so strong that it cracks the sidewalk, and that old thing that was holding you back doesn't exist for you anymore. So
Mm.
it's not like, sure, you could jackhammer the sidewalk before you plant yourself, but like fucking why, when you can just gently follow your own
Mm.
pleasure and you're gonna fuck over that sidewalk anyway, right? Like,
Absolutely. And all of the other little seedlings that are around you
when
see
you're
your
doing it
cracks,
together,
see those cracks, and they're like, oh,
there's space here for me
there is
now.
space. I look at what they're doing. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it. Look what I'm gonna try it.
And
And
this
they
is how
do.
nature reclaims everything that man has ever built, right?
Mm.
Or that humankind has ever built. So I love that idea that it doesn't have to be hard. You just have to choose to follow pleasure.
Be devoted.
Be devoted. My
Yeah.
favorite word / sometimes my word I resent, devotion.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
fine, I'm devoted and I know I'm devoted, so I'm gonna go do the thing. And then I go do the thing and I always feel better.
Oh, yeah. And to kind of circle back to the beginning as well, like this is how we develop that resilience, but it's not from a place of like hardening to the world,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
It's that resilience that is a little bit softer. It has room for
Yes.
your body to like relax. Ashley's celebrating.
Yeah, if you guys are listening and not watching, Ashley's just like, arms are so excited right now. Fist shaking in excitement.
Yeah, but that's that place of true power where it's, you're developing that growth, that resilience, that like tenacity to bloom, but it's not from a place of like closing off walls, hardening. Like there's that gentleness at the same time, which is just such a balm when you need it.
Yes.
That was such a hard lesson for my little Aquarius
Mm.
heart to learn.
Was it?
It was.
Do Aquarius
We're a little
human?
we're a little cold. Like we get a little cold. We get a little shut off.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Well, also Aquarius and with my hermit line, and
In your human design, yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mm. Kayla, what's your astrology?
I am a Cancer sun and then Capricorn moon, Capricorn rising.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
what about you, Kirsten?
I am Pisces sun and then Scorpio rising and
Ooh. Oh, I
Oh,
am an Aquarius sun, Sagittarius moon, and rising. I
nice.
was just in a conversation literally yesterday about whether or not there is a thing to
having the same moon and same rising.
yes.
Mm,
Is there a thing to that?
I
And
don't know.
and if it makes well, the conversation was actually in relation to whether it has something to do with like your cycles syncing with the moon cycles.
I did see that post. It must be in a similar group that we're in.
I think it is in the spiritual baddies group, honestly.
Oh, great. I didn't choose to dive in, but I'm glad you did.
But I am seeing my cycles sync with the moon.
Mine did now, finally.
Yes, mine have been for a very long time. But I wonder if there is, like, with the moon and rising being the same sign, if there is more.
You're in tune with the moon, the lunar cycle,
or just your soul, like yourself, like you are just more in alignment.
Oh, that's so interesting. What an interesting discussion.
I know, right? That's exactly what I said on that post
I don't have any of the answers for that, but it's fascinating.
We'll have to ask an astrologist when we get an astrologist.
Yes, well, I would love to reschedule with your astrologist friend.
Yes, me too. Also,
yeah, start casually serving all of your friends too.
Yes.
Yes.
I already do that. It's not so casual. I'm just really do that. I just do that.
This is why we've opened a collaborative. We just like people.
Yeah. I just ask all the questions.
Okay. So we clear what isn't working.
Yes.
We just let that the fuck go. We invite ourselves to make the next best choice that would bring pleasure. And we just keep making those choices over and over again. What next, or what else, or
Absolutely. So my favorite thing is bringing in the things that you know bring you pleasure into the workout space. So what are the things that make you feel delicious, and how can you start sprinkling those into your workouts? So that's a really, really big part of it. So there's like sensory things you can do. There's sensuality exercises that you can bring and sprinkle in. Like whatever brings you pleasure in one area, you can use in others. So, if you
look at Kayla's eyes. Did you see Kayla's eyes just now?
Oh, I'm trying to figure out how the fuck I can do that. I'm like, what do I find pleasure in? How can I bring a pleasure to a treadmill? Like
you're already doing it, Big Bird.
I am.
You find pleasure in being in your space, being in your home. You have a punching bag right there. You have a balance beam right in front of this thing.
Well, yeah, because I don't want to go to the fucking basement. So I find pleasure in being up here where everything's pretty.
And you have integrated moving your body and doing the things that make your body feel good in your space. Like, you're doing it, Big Bird.
Hey, thanks. I would love to make the decision to get up off the couch to do those things more often.
Right.
Great. So yeah.
Yeah. What's your hot wisdom for that, Kirsten?
So I have beef with how we're taught to work with our resistance in life, right? Like I'm kind of the anti Nike, you know what I mean? Like Nike is just kind of like, do it. And there's a space for that. And especially like we're talking about moving our bodies from the place of punishment, right?
Right.
If we've spent so many years in that like just do it mindset, we're missing information that is like so vital for our intimacy with ourselves, right? So like what are we overriding every time? So I invite like curiosity, right? Like what's going on for me right now that I feel like I don't want to do this? Like what do I need right now? Like how much energy do I even have to bring to this today? And is the picture in my mind like so past what I actually have the capacity to show up and do in a way that feels good and nourishing and loving? Is that what's going on? So there's all these little bits of data and information that are so good for like our friendship with our bodies and feeling good in our exercise routines. And with the just get up and do it mentality, you just miss all these things that are really important and tell you about what feels loving to your body and system. So even the act of checking in, if you notice resistance and being like, what do I need right now? What's going on? What's the source of this? Like that in and of itself is radically healing, because we are not taught consent with our own bodies, which seems crazy to me. It seems
Yeah.
absolutely crazy that like every exercise studio in the world is not having a conversation before exercise. Like, how much energy do you have today? What do you need anything to like show up to this class and push your edge in a way that feels good? Build that capacity, but from a place of like, wow, I care about you, body.
I
So
want
there's
to
these,
write that down before I do anything over in
yeah,
our
yeah. And
studio.
sometimes it's just, I need more water. I didn't get sleep. And so I want slowness. Sometimes it's even like I'll do the same workout, and I'm saying I because my body just talks to me in this way.
I
Sure,
love that.
yes.
Yeah, like my body will be like, yeah, I can show up, I can do the workout, but can we go slow? Can we be so in tune with our like emotional experience, that it just feels delicious and loving, like the act of exercise. Sometimes, like you were mentioning anger earlier, right? Like exercise can be such a powerful channel, like you're talking about, to move those energies through our bodies.
Mhm.
So how can we lean into that and play there and have fun and like let that anger, I mean, I was doing some kettlebell swings the other day and just like full on let my anger, it felt so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt so good, and it taught me how to be with that anger, pour it into a place where it's like deeply rightful and like good and healing and nourishing for it to go. And then also like increase my capacity to show up in workouts, which is something I'm always working on. Like I am not perfect in that area. I'm always working on it. And so, but like leaning into, maybe your body is just like, I'm feeling pissed today. And so using that as part of your workout, using that as part of the way that you move your body in a loving way, can be incredibly powerful and liberating. And it's a way where exercise can start to become something that holds you no matter how you're feeling, right? So instead of being like another thing that's on your to-do list, over time, as you like work emotion through your body through loving exercise, it can be something that starts to be like magnetic. It starts to
Yeah.
call you in. It's like when, a pleasure practice is the very same way for me. Like no matter how I'm feeling, I know that I can turn to my practice, move the emotions through my body, and come back to my power in a way that feels delicious. And so that's kind of how exercise starts to be the same way. It's
Yeah.
loving, it's magnetic. There's like a resonance of taking care of yourself in a way that tends to all of your being and your needs, your emotional needs, your physical needs, all of them, in a way that feels loving, instead of like, oh, just do it.
Yeah.
I feel like you just blew my whole mind.
Oh,
Oh,
1000%. If you were watching this instead of listening, you'd saw my whole face go through a range of emotions. Because when you were speaking, Kirsten, about not just getting up off the couch, but like getting curious with yourself about why it feels hard to get up off the couch.
mhm.
For me, I know it's when I'm gonna cry. It's fine. It's because I feel frozen. My nervous system's reaction of choice is to freeze.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
what a beautiful invitation for me to be in deeper relationship with my body, to invite myself into a like nervous system regulation activity before going to do a physical movement practice.
Yes.
And nervous system regulation tools for me are almost always physical anyway. It's a breath work practice, or like a body loving like
Mhm.
inward pleasure practice.
Mhm.
And I would love to know, Kirsten, if you have any ideas on like physical ways to help the nervous system. Um,
Mhm.
because other than breath work or using my voice, like some of the humming practices or the VU low practices, is there anything that feels more active that also nourishes the nervous system, I guess is what I'm asking.
Absolutely. Yeah. So first I want to just recognize the beauty in you saying, I can take a moment to tend to my needs, maybe more doing something else, because the last thing that you need in that moment is like more forcing energy, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so just the beauty and the softness and the like gentleness and intimacy of you saying, "Oh yeah, I can start with what I need." Yeah.
Yes.
So I just want to like, yeah, share that as deeply, deeply beautiful and loving. So loving. Um, I would say, so there's so much, right? There's so much. Really, I think you're limited only by like creativity and experience. But I would
Okay.
say, with like teaching you a bunch of stuff, start with what works for you. So what I'm hearing is what works for you is breath work, and what works for you really well is like, some gentle somatic nervous system things. So like, even like getting on your yoga mat, and I'm just using yoga mats as an example, and spending 10 minutes or 5 minutes just like really squeezing and releasing like you were doing, even just that, like starting out saying, this is to nourish me, this is to regulate me, this is to give me what I need. You could put some music on and do some breath work. You could do breath work as you're exercising, so like move that energy through your body and lean in. These tools can be simple, they don't have to be you know half an hour long tantric tools, although those are fun and can lead to some really like crazy places when combined with exercise. Like I have hit like altered states of consciousness from like pleasure from doing kettlebell swings, and that's been wild.
Yes.
That
But
sounds
I
marvelous.
miss
Yes, please.
kettlebells so much. So
uh-huh.
much.
Yeah, oh, they're such a good tool. But it doesn't have to be complex,
Yes.
right? It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be complicated. So even like, running your fingers over your body in like a really gentle way to a song that brings you calm and peace and that sense of intimacy, like that will start to get you there. So I would say work with what you already know as a place to start and just experiment and play. The other thing that's really important too is I will stop a workout in the middle of a set, in the middle of a rep. I don't care. I will stop if there's something that's coming up to me, and I will tend to that. So if there are things of like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not whatever enough, um, or I notice some resistance come up, like the kind of like, wow, I don't want to type of thing. Because
That
I
comes
spent,
that's a
yeah,
big one.
yeah.
That's a
I
big
spent
one.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So like all these things come up in exercise. No one is talking about what to do with it.
Yeah.
Literally,
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
it's just like it's like this. Everyone experiences it. No one is saying what to do with it. And
You
Right.
are. You're saying it. That's why
Thank
we have you
you.
on
Thank
here.
you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you for being that person who is having that conversation, because all I have in my head is like no pain, no gain, and like
Right.
fuck
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. That's why I don't do it, because I don't want that. And
Right,
so I just don't do it.
right, absolutely. So like work with that, right? Like when
Yeah.
that comes up, and for example, like the no pain, no gain thing, that's so like embedded in our systems. And like the way when I hold no pain, no gain in my body, like I instantly,
Ugh.
Yeah.
It hurts. Like
I want to curl it back out of my body.
it already hurts.
yeah, exactly. It already hurts. It's a like absolutely, absolutely. So like we're not subscribing to that anymore, right? We're not, that's not the way that we want our bodies to be shaped, right? Like the mantras that we have running through our system like that, if we are moving guided by those concepts, those mantras, those negative thoughts that we're having a hard time detaching from, like that is what's shaping our body. And I actually have such a respect for the body saying fuck no. Like before my weight loss journey, I lost 95 pounds doing this. Before all of that, like I really struggled and I felt kind of trapped and hopeless. Like I never get to have the life that I want. I never get to be in a body that feels good and nourishing to me. I felt very trapped. And now I have
Girl,
such,
yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sounds
I have
so
such
familiar.
respect now because what was going on was my body was like giving the finger to moving from that place. It was like it was keeping me safe by saying absolutely not. Like if you're gonna move me in this way, if you're gonna approach this journey, this weight loss journey, this health journey in this way, I don't want a part of it. And that is so loving and wise and healing. Like I'm so
Yes.
grateful that my body would not let me gently lose weight from a place of hatred because I didn't need that more in my life and I wouldn't have found the pleasure
Well,
back.
yeah, all it would
Yes.
have done was given you evidence that self-hate is the correct way, and fuck that.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
So it's like how loving, right? Like
Yes.
how loving that your body is sending you this signal. Hey, there's something going on for me that um I'm not a yes to. Like
Yeah.
I don't believe in this. This doesn't feel good to me. And so that's like a form of really loving protection. So we can like see that for what it is, work with
My
it.
fat body is love.
Oh, yes, it's love.
Yes.
Absolutely.
She said, I would rather hold on to this fat than hate myself.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
And that's so beautiful.
so gorgeous, so loving.
So beautiful.
Okay, well, thanks for that.
That is so beautiful.
You're so welcome. It is. It's protection. It's love, right?
I'm gonna go get some tissues. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, I feel like my cheeks have just been like on fire this whole conversation. Like my body is like, are you paying attention? Are you listening? Are you paying attention? Pay attention. These are wise words. We must be listening.
That's so sweet.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Kirsten, can I ask you one of my greatest weight loss fears? I would love to me, weight loss is a byproduct of becoming stronger. I desire to become stronger. I am very scared of losing a fuck ton of weight and having like baggy skin, right? Like, and I know, ooh, I'll just cry some more. I brought the tissues with me, you guys. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay.
I am healing out loud. That's the whole point of the podcast. Okay.
So brave.
So I don't know. Is there a way to lose a fuckload of weight and like retain like skin elasticity? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
That is my fear. Speak about that however you would like to.
So yeah, I think the first thing I want to say is like I feel how tender and vulnerable that is for you to share. So thank you for sharing that with us and being courageous enough to heal out loud.
I gotta go first if I want to help people be able to like do this for themselves. So
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'll say is like, our bodies respond differently. And we don't know what that's gonna be like until we get there, right? I have loose skin. I have loose skin around my belly. And it's been a journey to accept that and love that and feel like peace with it for sure. Um, but ultimately, like, I just want to be in a body where it's like the highest concentration of love for myself, for the world, you know, what is like the most, how can I be most shaped by love in my life? And so for me, that meant, because I definitely remember having those fears too. It's like something I heard a lot about culturally
Yes.
growing
Yes.
up. I'm going to do all of this work, and then what if I don't even like the way I look after that, right? So sometimes it's kind of easier to like not take the plunge and not go ahead and do the, you know, say yes to the journey, right? Um, so what I will say is that it makes sense that this is something that you'd be thinking about and that a lot of women would be thinking about. And I think, you know, the way that feels most right to me is just like leading by example, right? And like learning how to love that part of my body. And what else? Yeah, just know that like it's a symbol of my journey that I went on. And so I'm not as afraid of it anymore. And like learning how to take more and more steps towards loving myself along the way, every single point along the way, um, helped me know how to cultivate self-love in my body, right? I think
Mhm.
we have this opinion or this belief that self-love is like it's like a light switch, you know, it's like on or off, right?
Right.
Like
It is not, is
love,
it? It is a choice. It is
no,
your next best choice.
yeah, it's a choice, it's something we nurture, it's something we step into over and over and over again powerfully. And so I just keep making the choice to love myself louder, love myself
Mhm.
more powerfully. And that takes away from a lot of the things that I was worried about, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so that I would just say like nurturing this energy of self-love every step along the way. And that's another reason why a lot of the other things out there don't work is because, you know, this weight loss comes from a place of like self-hatred, right? And then you get to the end and you're supposed to just like love yourself. Yay, you did it.
Right.
Like finally you're good enough for your own love. And that
Right. And
is
it
not,
won't work.
yeah.
There's always something wrong. There's always, so like
Right.
being super
That's the
vulnerable.
thing.
Ah, okay. I'm gonna be
That
brave too.
okay.
So I was going through a health challenge and I'm still healing from it right now, but I lost a ton of my hair, like
Mhm.
80% of my hair. It was
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. And it was very, very stressful. Like, you know, being in the shower every day and just like pulling out clumps of my own hair. Very stressful. Um, and so this was like after all my weight loss. And so I had this experience of like, I did it, I'm done. And here's this other health challenge.
Oh,
Here's this
wow.
other body thing, right? That's like not cooperating with me, isn't perfect.
Mhm.
And I've had to go through a real journey of acceptance. And there's been a lot of progress there. There's been a lot of healing. Like, I'm not where I'm going to be, you know, at the end. Like, there's more healing. There's more like building up of nutrients in my body that I'm always working on. But, you know, how can I love myself right now? How can I know that I'm enough and beautiful and radiant and worthy of all the love and pleasure in the world for myself and others right now, even while I have this thing that I would prefer be different about my body, right?
Right.
And
Mhm.
how can I catch any points of comparison, any points of, you know, like, yeah, just not feeling good enough about myself and just question that and choose something else. And so, you know, whatever that thing is, you know, whether it's like having a little bit of loose skin, whether it's, you know, hair like me, whether that's something else, you know, some people,
Mm.
you know, maybe they weren't born like, you know, conventionally beautiful, or they have like a hard time accepting their nose, like whatever that thing is, are we going to let that keep us from a life of love and pleasure? And my answer is no, right? And so
Right.
once you kind of make that decision, you find your way back over and over and over and over again. Like you're saying, this devotion, right?
Right.
Yes.
Devotion to the life that you want. And so, you know, there's a way that I could be walking through the world right now, dimmed down, not my full self, hiding. And I did that for years in the past, you know, with my weight, with other things. And instead, I choose to get bolder, get brighter, shine more, know that it's safe. And now that I like walk around as like what I believe is like a sacred carrier of pleasure in this way, it is so powerful. Like I am never turning it off again. It just, it's not worth it. You know, this life that I'm creating for myself, the way that walking through this world in this way just invites so much more sparkle in other people.
Yes.
It
The
is so,
magic. It's the
yes,
magic. It's the
yeah.
magic.
I
The
went to a
magic.
dating event. Gosh, was that? Oh my gosh, that was 2 nights ago. That was only 2 nights ago. It has been
Fun.
wow. And we were a bunch of the ladies and I were all like standing by this like little water cooler getting some water for ourselves in a session. And this one woman was like, I am so nervous. And, you know, dating is a vulnerable thing. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Understand that. Yeah. And then she just looked over and she's like, are you nervous? And I just checked in and I was like, no, actually, like, I feel really good. And she was just like, how? How? In this like room of hot men are you like keeping yourself together and like feeling good? And it's just like there's such a current of pleasure built up in my body that it's just so easy to trust that and share it when I want to. So in that moment,
Yes.
we had a conversation about like, okay, great. How can you like step into your confidence more? Like, how can you play? How can you make this an expression
Yay.
of like your deepest essence as a woman through these interactions with these men individually? And it was so satisfying to be able to pass that on a little bit in that moment. You know, we don't have to take the invitation to feel small and unconfident, right? And that's not about who else is in the room or what everybody looks like or what they have and you don't. It's about you feeling in touch with your own pleasure and sensuality and like shining that out as a gift to the world, right? That's a very different experience. And that's a very different way of approaching confidence than I think we're taught. You know, it's normally like, okay, what are all the things that I'm insecure about? And how can I solve those so that I don't feel that way? It's never going to work. It's
Right.
never going to work. And even if it does, it's temporary, right? Because life's and like the process of
Yes.
aging will come for us all, you know, accidents, things that we can't always control. It's never going to be, you know, we want to empower people, but not like demand perfection from ourselves to enjoy that sense of sensuality and pleasure and confidence. So it's more about turning towards our essence, our aliveness, our divinity, our
Yes.
innate perfection, and like seeing that in ourselves as well as seeing that in others. Because I think a lot of women see that so perfectly and easily in others, and yet we struggle with ourselves. So, like, it's time that we gave
Yeah.
ourselves that gift too.
Yeah.
I
If we
agree.
yes, if we can see it in other ladies, if we can see their perfection, if we can see their beauty, if we can see their gorgeousness, if we're like, you are an amazing goddess of a human being, and I want you to feel so confident, like bring that same energy with yourself.
Yes. Well, and I love that you bring up the very real truth of aging,
Mhm.
because while you've been speaking, I've been thinking to myself that what I am shedding today is another layer of like patriarchal expectation that
Mm.
somehow I will get to a point with my body where it stays the same somehow, like it's some
Mm.
pinnacle of like health or
Yeah.
pinnacle of strength and aesthetic beauty.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
like that is not the truth of the human body. That
Right.
is a logical fallacy that we have been taught to believe for reasons of power, control, and capitalism, right?
Right.
Like for money and power, we have been taught that we should be searching for this static state of perfection or
Mhm.
enoughness, when in truth, our body will never be static.
Right.
It literally cannot be, because we are constantly changing whether we have oxygen inside our bodies or we're expelling carbon dioxide. Like it just is always change.
Yeah.
There is always change in the way that our hair and fingernails grow. There is change in the way that our faces age, and we get those little wrinkles by our eyes to show how much we have laughed and smiled and shared joy in our lives. And another realization that I've had is that if I can love myself through the dark ass caverns of unwinding my trauma from Catholicism and thinking that I'm a truly evil person, if I can learn to love myself despite being brainwashed into thinking that I'm literal fucking evil, I can love my body through increasing my body movement and working with my joy and love of cooking. I can do that. That's easy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes. You just said
that's easy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love too that you brought in this beauty of what do these represent? You know, the smile lines, how much joy have we experienced in our life? So, like the deeper symbolism, like connecting with the values, connecting with the emotions and experience that this parts of our body, you know, carries. So, like, you know, I was mentioning like the loose skin on my belly. Like, what does that say? It says that I invented a whole path of women to lose weight while they are in their pleasure instead of fighting my body. You know, it says that I am so committed to loving myself that I like forged a new path through my life. You know, for some women, yeah, like
I love that for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
That
You
is
know,
beautiful.
and even like my hair, right? Like I wish it was different, and that's okay. And I don't need that to change in order to be my like most radiant, sparkly self, right? I can give myself permission to show up like I'm already healed as I navigate a path forward towards making that a reality as it improves every day. Um, and yeah, just like connecting with not stopping yourself from being like a full expression of your own love on this planet, no matter what, is just such a thing of profound beauty.
You know, Lily reminded me of that, my daughter, when she was about 4 years old, right? Out of the mouths of babes. And like I have remembered that, like the truth, like just the pure truth out of her little soul. Like, so it was one day I was standing in the bathroom and I didn't have a shirt on or something. And I had just had my son like a year or two ago. So like, not a year or two ago, about a year, probably a year. So maybe she was 3. I don't know. But like my stomach was still loose and big and puffy, and I still had stretch marks from Lily, and I had fresh stretch marks from my son Max, and like I was just standing, my stomach was soft and all of those things, right? And she comes in and she takes her little probably very sticky little fingers and just starts tracing the lines on my stomach, right? And I'm just like, okay, oh boy, what's coming out of the mouth, right? And she goes, Mom, what are these? Like, what are all these lines on your tummy? And I was like, oh, well, they're my stretch marks. They're kind of like the stripes that I got from when my stomach got real big, when, you know, it was growing you and when you and Max were growing in there. And she goes, wow, they're beautiful. It's all like starry-eyed, and like she just so gently just traced them down my tummy. And just like, and I was just like, oh, because it was the most like pure little thing. And I was just like, you're right, they are beautiful. And like it was in that moment that I stopped being concerned about my stretch marks or my laugh lines or my sunspots or my scars or any of those things, because Lily, my daughter, she thought they were beautiful. And you know what? She's right. She was right. Like, it was, those are marks of my life and my experience. And dang, I love that. I love that about myself. And I was so just taken aback by how she was able to, in 2 minutes, like, rewrite my whole belief system about myself.
That's gorgeous. That's absolutely gorgeous. What a gift.
Yeah, it was so sweet.
Yeah, and beauty is
Yeah.
so layered, right? Like beauty, it contains so much more than what we look like. And that's a part of it. Like I don't want to, physical beauty, like we all admire it. Like it's beautiful to see paintings. It's
Right.
beautiful to see women like lounging in fruits and shade lounges and
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
Beauty is a thing. And also, like, let's not deny the layers to it. Let's not deny how we can see such profound beauty in others because of their soul, the way they shine, the way they exist in the world, and how easy it is to see in other people and allow ourselves to see that as well, because it's so complex. It's so juicy. There's just so much more to it than just what we look like physically, or trying to stay the same, or like trying to remain flawless, whatever that means. I have no interest in being flawless. Like I'm flawed. I'm
Yes.
beautifully flawed,
Mhm.
But I'm just thinking about, like being ultimately like, why do we even want to be beautiful, right? I think everyone wants to feel beautiful because we enjoy that feeling. But why do we even want to be beautiful? And for most people, or for most women, I should say, it's tied into love, right? Like, I want to be with a partner that sees the beauty that I have and loves it and like cherishes it and worships it. I want to, when I am in an intimate moment with, a partner, partners, whatever that looks like for each individual woman, like I want to feel like a goddess and have him see that. And so that is so much deeper, like this desire to be loved, to experience love is so much deeper than like, well, do I have stretch marks there? Do I have loose skin there?
Right.
So why don't we just like keep that at the front and center? Why don't we focus on like being a more efficient, like delicious, permissive conduit of love? And it's great. Like if, I coach on weight loss. So it's like, it's great if weight loss is a part of that picture, but it's so different when we keep that love front and center and give it to ourselves now,
Yes.
exactly as we are, and then let love guide our steps day by day individually in the form of like, okay, movement, nutrition, the things that go into creating that. Like that's so much more powerful. And then the body's not running from an experience. It's not running from, punishment and that negative energy and the things that we were talking about earlier. It's easy to just follow that current because it feels so good. And you're finally giving your body what she wants all along. Like she just wants your love.
And you're no longer running from your own diversity.
Yeah.
Right? Like I saw I'm going to say meme, but it was like an inspirational picture with words on it, right? About how we as women or open-hearted humans are taught that our most important relationship when we grow up is going to be with a partner. And the truth is that our most profound relationship is outside of ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely
okay,
ourselves.
Okay.
But our most important relationship outside of ourselves is with our whole community, right? Because your partner cannot, if you choose to have one, cannot be everything to you. Like, that's a lot of pressure to put on one person.
Yes, that is not fair.
Yeah.
So when we have, as a society, idolized a static relationship, right? A 1-2 part relationship, there is only two visions of like a beauty for your most important relationship. And I think that that contributes to the way in which we want ourselves to look one way,
Yeah.
because we are told to put so much emphasis on this one way in which we will hopefully see ourselves when we grow up and find love.
Yes.
When in reality, if we can expand our sense of our most important relationship outside of ourselves being with a community of people,
Like your village.
your village,
Yes.
your collaborative,
Yes.
with your friends, with
your family,
your support system, you automatically add more visual diversity to what you allow yourself to see as fundamentally important and fundamentally a roadmap for where you're headed.
you open yourself up to so much more love.
So much more love, so much more capacity to see yourself in different ways.
Yeah.
And if you can open that capacity to see yourself as fundamentally important in different ways, you open your mind to being able to see yourself as being okay to see yourself in different ways. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I went for a really big concept there, and
yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. And I love how there's this thread right at the beginning. You were talking about, how do I'm summing up and kind of turning it into an effort, but like, how do I love myself so deeply that by extension my community is loved on by how deeply I'm loving myself?
yes,
Like,
yes.
I build up the love so abundantly and so powerfully that like the people around me can't help but be like invited and coaxed in.
Yes.
Oh, and just what a beautiful vision that is. That's a powerful way to walk through the world as, an offering to love itself through how you treat yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Nurturing and wholesome and delicious.
So
yes.
good.
Ooh, we did the Lord's work today. We did the universe's work. We really brought the truth and the magic.
We did.
Like, this conversation has been pure alchemy. It has been magic. It has been life-changing, and I am so excited to see and hear how this conversation ripple effects out to you guys listening and watching, and I would just fucking love to hear how you guys are receiving this conversation.
Yes.
This may be my new favorite episode.
Yes. It's so good.
Like,
it's so good. Such good conversation, such good thought-provoking, inspiring, really great little nuggets
of truth
and love.
Yes.
Such a gift to have this conversation and be in your energy in this space and just have these like beautiful, enriching conversations around how can we step into more love and what does that look like. So thank you so much. This was gorgeous.
Oh my God, yes. Like, I don't, as a writer and poet, I often don't find myself with a lack of words to describe what I want to say. But I don't have words yet for what this conversation has meant to me and changed for me, and by ripple effect done for our community.
Absolutely.
And for hopefully your community too, Kirsten. I so hope that they benefit from this. Also, hi Kirsten's community. Thanks for hanging out with us. Would love to hang out with you more if you want to listen to the podcast in the future. Yeah, I'm sure I will find the words as we go to like promote this episode
Yes.
in a week or two.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just thank you from the absolute core of who I am as a human person on this planet and a celestial being as energy
Yes.
in all that is. Thank you, Kirsten, for all of this. And thank you, Ashley, for, as always, co-hosting so beautifully. You're so welcome.
Well, thank you. It's such an honor, and I feel the energy from you, right? And so I think it's like tempting to kind of like want to tie a bow and find the perfect words, and
Right.
sometimes it just like it needs some time to sit and marinate. And
Yes.
I so trust that process and it like sinking in a way that feels delicious, and you just getting everything that you needed. So
Yes. Because by marinating, things grow more tender and juicy
they
anyway.
do.
So hooray for that.
Yes.
a food metaphor, my favorite.
Okay, so before we officially leave things, Kirsten, where can people find you the best? Where can people be in your energy more?
Absolutely. I would love to have everyone that feels called towards having a more delicious relationship with food and exercise and this vision of pleasure-based weight loss, and like turning towards caring for their bodies from a place of profound love and pleasure and nourishment instead of all the rest of it.
Yes.
So, on Facebook and Instagram and my website, it's just my name. So it's KirstenKoel. So my website's kirstenkoel.com. If they friend me on Facebook, I can add them to the banquet table, which
Ayo.
pour these little tidbits of like pleasure and sensuality and reflections, and we have deeper conversations, and I get more vulnerable in that group. So I post things that it's like I'm not ready to share with the greater world, but like things around the depths of pleasure as they like unveil themselves and experiences like that. So I would love, love, love to connect with anyone who is excited by this pleasure-based weight loss phenomenon and journey. You know, it really is my intention to just create like as much healing in the world through this work as possible. Like we really need a solution here, and I really want like love to be at the forefront of everyone's journey with health and weight loss.
I mean, you fucking are, right?
Yes.
Like you so are.
You're doing it, Big Bird.
Oh, thank
You're
you.
so already doing
That was
it.
my first big bird.
Doesn't it feel amazing? It feels weirdly amazing.
I loved it.
Well, okay, and I also know that you are starting a group coaching session or program soon, right?
Yes. So that is going to be into having a delicious relationship with food. So, like bringing these tantric tools into people's relationships with food. And I will definitely be sprinkling more in the Facebook group about that.
Beautiful.
There's this common belief that, like, oh, either I enjoy food too much, or like I can't lose weight because I enjoy food too much. I don't believe that that's possible. In fact, I think that people aren't enjoying food enough.
I would agree with that.
Yes, just the body connection and the nuances in your own signals that are unveiled when you sink into a sensual relationship with your food. So we're going to be combining tantra and sensual eating into this like really special, delicious
Oh my
package.
goodness.
That sounds so marvelous. So if you guys want to dip your toes in, join Kirsten's Facebook group. If you want to just jump in the whole pool or just, I don't know, float in a sea of Kirsten's magic, join her group program.
Thank you so much for asking.
Absolutely. We love mutual benefit and
Yes.
energetic reciprocity. And I know fundamentally that our audience is going to think that this episode is the fucking best.
Oh,
So
yes.
I'm so excited for us to send people your way so that they can sink deeper into your magic, because what you've got going on is the new paradigm for how people get to be with their bodies, with their nutrition, and with their physical strength and their love of this human vessel that we are in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Like that's what you are doing, and I am very excited to see where this all goes.
Yay!
Thank you so, so much. Oh, that is the hope. That is the dream. And it feels delicious to have it reflected.
Yay!
Yeah. I also reflect that is the happening.
Yes, it's happening.
Yeah.
That is the happening.
True. Very true. This is a wild ride sometimes.
Yes.
But your dream is actively coming true right now.
Oh, thank you so, so much.
Okay. Before we squeal people's eardrums out, we'll end things here. So thank you so much, Kirsten.
We usually blow a kiss to the camera and say
love you,
bye if you'd like to join
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
Love you. Love you.